It's time for the Cincinnati Reds to hashtag get on board and sign Sal Stewart to a long-term deal.
You are Locked On Reds, your daily Cincinnati Reds podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hi, I'm Jeff. He's Steve, and we are lifelong Cincinnati Reds fans. And today's Locked On Reds podcast has a lot to it, where later on we are going to talk about the Key Brian Hayes dilemma and his spot in the lineup. We are also going to talk about in a few minutes what this Reds outfield looks like on a good day, because I'm not really sure what that is. And then we're going to really dive into, though, the whole topic of contract extensions for young players, because the Detroit Tigers joined that group by signing Kevin McGonigal, their shortstop that they just called up this year, to an 8-year, $150 million contract. The Pittsburgh Pirates signed Connor Griffin before they called him up. You have multiple different top prospects that the Brewers signed contract extensions for before they were called up, including Jackson Chourio, and a guy that they will probably call up at some point this year in Jesus Mate. But the Reds have not joined that group. And for me, Steve, I feel like it is well past time for them to do this with Sal Stewart. Lock him up, make sure that he's here for a good long time.
Yeah, I agree with that, Jeff. Here's the thing. I have felt like the Reds have been in a holding pattern, trying to not have any money obligated beyond this looming lockout, the looming end of the CBA, because nobody really knows what the finances of baseball is going to look like. There are enough teams doing this right now that make me think the owners have an idea of what they're going to ask for, what they're going to settle for. And I think the Reds do need to get on board this trend. If ever there was a player to invest some money and take the risk, it is Sal Stewart in the way he has performed thus far at the major league level. Could it go sideways? Absolutely. Could he not pan out? Absolutely. But we've seen enough to know he's going to hustle. He's going to work hard every single day, and he's going to continue to try to refine his craft. Those three things combined make him worth the risk in my mind, Jeff. I think you go out, you lock him up, and if he performs the way we all think / hope, that's a tremendous investment over the next 8 years or so. You buy out his arbitration years. You have a controlled set of costs, because that money is just going to keep going up. If they leave it to arbitration, that number is going to just continue to rise. Get some stability, know exactly what you're spending, exactly what you're going to have to pay, and you get to buy out a couple of his free agent years. It still lets him go to the open market later and get absolutely paid if he lives up to that contract. But it provides security for him in case he gets hurt, and it gives the Reds financial stability over the next 8 years.
Because I think you buy what he's been putting out there, right? Like, it's not just, it's a hot month, it's an Aristides Aquino type month, and then he's going to disappear. Like, the way that he goes about every at-bat, this looks real. He looks like a guy that's not a rookie, a guy that's been doing this for years and years and years. The 9-pitch at-bat in which he hit a home run on a up-and-away fastball that was outside the zone, and he goes Apo Taco on it off of Robbie Ray, told me everything that I need to know about Sal Stewart. It was a battle. He was disciplined. And then when he saw the pitch that he wanted, he didn't wait on it. He took it, and he killed it. I don't think that anything that he has put out there is smoke and mirrors. I don't think that anything of it is fluky. I think that he is who he is. And that at-bat, to me, Steve, not to go too dramatic with it, but was a little Joey Votto-esque, going 9 pitches and hitting a home run against a guy that won a Cy Young a couple of years ago. But we're talking about a kid here that's 22 years old. And if you can sign him to an 8-year deal, he still hits free agency in the perfect prime area that a player wants to hit free agency. But you keep him longer than you would if you just went to arbitration with him every single year. And I think, to your point, if they even get to arbitration before they make him a contract extension, he's too expensive for them. There's an argument to be made. If they wait 1 year, he's going to be too expensive for them, because he's just that good.
Yeah, if he plays this whole season the way he's playing right now, this option's coming off the table. They need to do it, and they need to do it this week. in order to make it stick. I firmly believe they could get something done. Let me ask you this: outside of Ellie De La Cruz, because I know that's the obvious answer, but outside of Ellie De La Cruz, is there anybody else right now? Anybody else to throw a contract extension offer at? Because I don't think there is right now.
The only other guy I could say is Andrew Abbott, and of course he's had a slow start to the season, so there's probably somebody who's just like, how would you even think about that? I think he's going to bounce back. He's going to be fine. But I think he's the only one. Nobody else really jumps out to me as a guy that's like, you got to lock him down, because Matt McLain is showing some plate discipline signs, but they haven't necessarily translated into production just yet. But he's the only one that I would argue with, but I still put Sal Stewart ahead.
And that would have to be, I agree with you, Matt McLain. That would have to be a team-friendly deal in order to lock him up. And I don't think any agent worth their salt is going to let that happen. I don't think it's Ty Steve. I think you let him walk at the end of the year, or you trade him at the trade deadline if he's doing anything at all. I think Sal Stewart is the answer here. And because this team doesn't have very much money committed beyond Eugenio Suarez after the CBA, I think they're in a financial position to do this.
Yeah, no, I 100% agree with you. That's the thing that has made me wonder on if we would see anybody else extended this season, because I was like, well, maybe the Reds are just waiting on that lockout deal, because it's literally Hunter Green, it's Key Brian Hayes, and then it's a option year for Eugenio Suarez. It's not even guaranteed, and that's it. That's all that they have on the books guaranteed for next season. I don't necessarily know what the value is to continue to have a blank slate on your budget when it comes to this point, if you can get Sal Stewart for what you can get him for now. The other part of the Kevin McGonigal contract that I think works in this case for Sal Stewart is that the Tigers made this a escalating contract. It's 8 years, $150 million, but he doesn't start making whatever that would be, $18 million a year right now. Like right now, Kevin McGonigal makes $1 million. Next year, I think he makes $12 million. The year after that, 17. And then, the later years, you're getting up over $20 million. But if you do that with Sal Stewart and you want to play the whole, let's trade him a couple of years before the end of his contract deal, you can, and then you're not on the hook for that money.
See, and that's smart. They built in the arbitration escalations, but they controlled them. They kept them a known number versus somebody deciding. And the Tigers, mind you, are a team that just got absolutely hammered in arbitration with Skubal, right? Like
they
32, was it $32 million? It was a record, right? $32 million they just lost in arbitration. So smart move by the Tigers. I hope the Reds are paying attention for sure, because there are options for them to go out there and get this done, Jeff. Listen, speaking of getting things done, the Cincinnati Reds team
options.
Yeah, this Cincinnati Reds team for years now has needed to go out and get it done by signing an outfielder. They have not done that, and it's left us with a group of outfielders that is interesting. We'll talk about what the best version of that is coming up next.
And we're coming down to the wire on tax time, but for a lot of us, the old way of doing taxes is, well, a lot. Trying to book an appointment that's not the most convenient, sitting in a waiting room with a stack of papers and emailing back and forth and wondering if they really get your situation. But this year, you're getting a major upgrade. Intuit TurboTax now has in-person locations nationwide. You can meet face-to-face with a real tax expert, and your documents get uploaded straight to your TurboTax app on the spot. And just like that, you're done. Your TurboTax expert works to get you every dollar that you deserve while getting you real-time notifications as you go about your day. It's the relief of walking in and meeting a real person and walking out knowing your taxes are being handled right. Head to TurboTax.com/local to find the store nearest you and book your appointment today.
You already live this team every single day. You're lifelong Reds fans just like us. Elevate your experience to the next level. Take Locked On Reds ad-free over with the Everydayer Club. Go to LockedOnPodcast.com/everydayer to get started with that $5 a month $50 a year gets you ad-free Locked On Reds. It also gets you exclusive access to our Discord server. Not only Locked On Reds, but every single Locked On show, every single Locked On host has a channel in there. You can talk ball 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and not talk about the same thing twice. There is so much content going on there for you. Check it out today. All right, Jeff, this outfield. I want to be mad because, one season you don't address it. Okay. 2 seasons you don't address it. Well, maybe you've been busy. You're trying to get around to it. Nick Krall's had a lot to do. 3 seasons, 4 seasons now. Come on. This outfield is a train wreck. We have identified it as the group that is a train wreck, and they've been a train wreck for multiple years now. And as we get into the 2026 season, they've already demoted one guy, Noelvi. It was unfair. Bring back Noelvi. Free Noelvi. They brought up Rhys Hines, a guy that, okay, let's see. But I think it's more of the same. There's not a lot of options when it comes to trying to put a good version of an outfield together with this team.
Right. And I think that the hard part, because I want to be happy for Rhys Hines and that he has his opportunity here, but there's a reason that you and I both said we didn't see an opportunity for him outside of like injuries or something like that. Because the upgrade isn't really apparent. He has abilities. He has a scouting report, and the scouting report says that he's uber athletic and all the power and all the speed and all this other stuff. But he just hadn't quite put it together yet at the major league level. And albeit it's just one game, I'm not going to lose my mind over one game. But in his first game, we saw why. No one is going to throw this man a fastball. He's not going to see a fastball. He has to hit off speed. He has to hit breaking pitches. And he didn't on Tuesday night. So how is that going to look moving forward? I expect him to play, if not every day, almost every day, because I don't know why you would bring him up to platoon him. I don't even know why Noelvi Marte was being platooned. Whatever, that's what happened, and that's what led to where we are here. I do think there was a little bit of strange strategy involved with Noelvi Marte, but then that also makes me have a question about the strategy with bringing up Rhys Hines, because, okay, somebody over here is yelling, well, he was smashing in Louisville, so is JJ Bleday, but smashing in Louisville doesn't mean you're going to smash in Cincinnati. I think the question here is, does the best version of this outfield come from within? Because I think the answer is no. I think they've got to go get somebody between now and the trade deadline.
Yeah, and that's what they've needed to do for years. We've been talking about Mr. Outside Hire for a long time now. They do absolutely need to go get a proven major league outfielder because the one doesn't exist. We're starting an infielder in the outfield most of the time. That's how bad this outfield group is. And Spencer Steer could be better utilized in other places.
Well, and technically too, whenever Rhys Hines was brought in by the Reds, I believe when he was drafted, he was a third baseman or third or first baseman. He was a corner infielder, and they converted him to the outfield in the minor leagues.
Yeah, third baseman. Shoulder injuries he kept having, I think, the reason they moved him. But I look at this, Jeff, and it's a little frustrating because this team, they did some things, going out and getting Gino, doing things, recognizing where they were, but still not fixing obvious spots that need to be upgraded. And let's be fair when we talk about Noelvi Marte. Not only was he being platooned, he was being platooned against his splits. He was being platooned based on the handedness that he has, not what his numbers supported. I don't think that was fair to him. Rhys Hines, I hate to say it, because I really, and listen, I hope he proves me wrong. I hope he does that thing that players do when we talk about them on Locked On Reds, which is he's going to go out and have a 3-for-3 home run day now. But you look at him, and I think what we have on our hands is a 4A player. I think he's going to be a guy that just absolutely destroys AAA pitching, as he should, but just can't quite put it together at the major league level because the off-speed stuff is going to eat him alive every single at-bat.
I think there will be a time in the future when the Reds actually get an outfielder. And when that happens, we're going to celebrate. We're going to be excited about it. We're going to talk about that guy a lot. And then the next day, we're going to have a show of, remember all those other guys? Where we just start naming names. And people are going to be like, that guy was here? We're going to be like, yeah, you remember Tyler Callahan? Yeah, you remember Blake Dunn? You remember Connor Joe? You remember Rhys Hines? Like, just going through this long list of guys. And I hope that Spencer Steer can solidify himself in left field. I hope that Dane Myers can continue this sort of kind of see like a little bit of a breakout coming for him. His underlying numbers are pretty good. But he's got to keep doing it. I hope TJ Friedel gets better because right now he looks like the weakest link in this lineup to me. But as of right now, all of that is hope. None of that is real. And there is nobody else that is like, we've got to put him in this spot in the outfield and it'll make it better. They've literally got to go get somebody else. And I think that's the hardest part for me is where it's like, can we get excited about Rhys Hines coming up and doing things? Can we get excited about JJ Bleday coming up and doing things? And I would say, passively, yes, but like, I'm not going to go too crazy about it because I think we kind of know what this show is going to lead to.
I think that, talking about handedness, I think that's the only thing that prevented JJ Bleday from coming up. They already have Will Benson. So they bring up Rhys Hines for the platoon. And, if to get JJ Bleday up here, I think something has to happen with Will Benson is where I'm going with this. I don't think you have both those guys on the roster at the same time.
It's funny, Steve. I have an area of my house that is a garden. And every so often I look at it and I'm like, well, I'm going to clean that up. I'm going to put some nice looking flowers in there. And, it's going to look all nice and stuff. Well, I've been living in this house for like 3 years now and I still haven't done that. And at some point I got to admit that I'm not a gardener. At some point I got to admit Nick Krall's not much of an outfield guy. Like he's just not going and fixing that thing, man. He's just hoping somebody else pops up out of the ground and is just a good outfielder. And that's kind of how his mantra is with his outfield right now. It's kind of
it makes me want to call Tyler Gibbons up and ask him, during the strategy meetings for the draft, do you guys look at the big board and ask yourself, which one of these shortstops can we convert to a corner outfielder? Like, is that how the conversation goes? Or do you ever actually look at the outfielders? And of course I'm messing her. Tyler Gibbons, Red Scout, who's been a tremendous friend to the show. Probably would not answer that question, but I just am curious.
What's that line from Moneyball? It's just like you guys are looking for Fabio. He's like, who's Fabio? It's like, yeah, no, that's kind of who's outfielder. What is outfield? What is that? Like, I do wish I want somebody to prove us wrong here, but right now it just seems like everything is pointing to this Reds outfield that was a problem last year, a problem the year before that, a problem this offseason, a problem this spring training. It looks like it's a problem right now during the regular season, and I hope somebody steps up. But there's another problem, Steve. When it comes to the lineup, it's all about the man who plays third base. His glove is gold, but his bat couldn't be any more tarnished than it already is. However, I think that your take that you had on this last week is missing the point.
If you've ever opened your bank account and thought, where did all my money go? You are not alone. Keeping track of subscriptions, spending, and bills can get overwhelming fast. That's where Rocket Money comes in, helping you take control of your finances all in one place. It tracks all your subscriptions in one spot and can help you cancel the ones that you don't need with just a few taps. It automatically categorizes your spending so that you can actually see where your money is going, and you can set budgets, get alerts, and stay on top of your incoming bills. It just makes everything feel more organized and gives you a clearer picture of your finances day to day. Rocket Money is the personal finance app that helps find and cancel unwanted subscriptions, monitors your spending, and helps lower your bills so you can grow your savings. Let Rocket Money help you reach your financial goals faster. Join at rocketmoney.com/lockedon. That's rocketmoney.com/lockedon.
You can continue the conversation with us after the show is over. You can follow me on social media at Jeff Carr with 3 Fs. It's over on X, on TikTok, all that other stuff. You can follow Steve at S. Offenbaker with 2 Fs on X. Not on TikTok just yet. We're trying to figure out what genre of music he's going to dance to whenever we get him up on TikTok. So that's coming up here soon. And you can follow the show at Locked On Reds on all the social media accounts there too. Salsa. I think salsa music would be the genre that you would dance to.
You would never be the same after watching that.
Last week, Steve, you were talking about Key Brian Hayes. You and Tim were talking about the man Hayes, who currently has a batting average that makes the Mendoza line look like some sort of award-winning title because he's hitting below 100 at the moment. His OPS, I think if you put it all together, is still lower than the on-base percentage for TJ Friedl. So all of that being said, I don't think it's any time to be worrying about benching him right now. I think it's too early, and I think that there are a couple of numbers that point to that. The first one is a number that I talk about a lot, and even so much so that I didn't realize that every so often I come up in Austin Elmore's mind on Cincy 360 whenever he starts to talk about this statistic because he knows I love it so much. Batting average on balls in play. And when it comes to the BABIP of it all, league average, depending on how far back you go, even if it's just 1 year, it's somewhere between 290 and 300. And if you go back multiple years, it usually gets closer to 300, usually around 298, something like that. That simply means if a guy puts a ball in play, around 29 to 30% of the time, it falls for a hit. As of right now, Ke'Bryan Hayes' BABIP is 079, 220 points lower than your typical league average BABIP. So that means literally 8% of the time when he puts the ball in play, it falls for a hit. Now, when you couple that with the fact that if you look at the guys on this team right now in the lineup who have the best hard hit rate, it's Nathaniel Lowe. He's only had like 23 plate appearances, but he has a 53% hard hit rate. Then you have Elly De La Cruz at 52%, Sal Stewart at 51%, Tyler Stevenson at 44%, and then Ke'Bryan Hayes at 36.8%, the number 5 guy on the list in hard hit rate for the Cincinnati Reds. I think he's breaking out here soon as long as they keep continuing to roll him out in the lineup. And so if you put him on the bench, you're going to be wasting some talent.
Buddy, let me tell you something. I've been talking Cincinnati Reds baseball for a long time. And if you had told me that the take that I had that would draw the most venom from the comment section would be benching Ke'Bryan Hayes, I would have told you you were out of your mind. But that's exactly what happened last week while you were out in the middle of the Caribbean. I said bench Ke'Bryan Hayes, and apparently he has a gang of dedicated defenders that were ready to come and get me. This is what I know, Jeff. You just sent a guy, not you personally, the Reds organization, just sent a guy with a negative 0.4 WAR down to Louisville. They decided he was so bad that he didn't even deserve a bench spot on this team. He needed to go away, and they needed to bring up somebody else that's unproven to replace him because that production is just unacceptable. Ke'Bryan Hayes' WAR right now is just 0.1 better than that guy's WAR. He is a black hole in the lineup. He cannot hit the ball. You can throw BABIP at me. You can throw hard hit balls at me. The bottom line is he makes contact and it's an out, or he doesn't make contact at all. He does not get on base. He does not help this team score runs. He does not draw walks. He is useless in this Reds lineup. Absolutely, categorically, undeniably useless in this Reds lineup. You have other options that you can run out there every day. And yes, there is a defensive drop-off. I do not care. You have guys that can help you put runners on. They can get on base. They can move runners over. They can occasionally run into one and hit a home run. They can do lots of things that Ke'Bryan Hayes doesn't do. But here's the piece of it that matters the most to me. If he was just struggling and having a bad start, cool. Everything you just said, I could get on board with, because we are the podcast of hope around here. We are the podcast of the glass is half full, the podcast of optimism. We could just wait and let it ride its course. Ke'Bryan Hayes, since 2024, has shown us who he is. We know who he is. And if there is a rebound, it's going to be a teeny tiny little rebound because we know what he does. So his defense will remain stellar. His offense will remain terrible. And you have to ask yourself, given the outfield situation that we just talked about, and knowing that there's already a million pieces in this lineup that are struggling and not quite on par, do we really want to keep running Ke'Bryan Hayes out there because he can catch a ball? I don't think so. I think this team needs to manufacture runs however, whenever possible. And none of that involves Ke'Bryan Hayes.
I'd be intrigued to see what happens if he continues to hit every day, but I'd also be intrigued to see what happens if you get Nate Lowe in the lineup every single day, which is, if we were to follow the bench Ke'Bryan Hayes philosophy, that's what I would do. I would put Lowe at first and move Sal to third. But at the same time, I wonder just how much of a defensive fall off that is. I know it's not Gold Glove caliber, but I also think that Sal Stewart slimmed down in this offseason with the idea that he was going to play multiple positions. And as it is right now, he played second base for 20 seconds and he's played first base the rest of the time. So I think that there's some merit to this. And I know that Eugenio Suarez has played some third base as well, but I still think it's too early. I think that you got to give him until at least Memorial Day before you start making this idea, because I think that he's going to right the ship.
I feel obligated to also point out that the Reds have a really, really, really good third baseman playing shortstop right now, and a really, really, really good shortstop playing second base. So I mean, I'm just saying that
as of right now, that third baseman has positive 2 outs above average of shortstop. He's looking like he's getting to that point that we thought.
That's okay. But I'm just saying, desperate times, desperate measures. And if you move those guys over one spot and then played, I don't know, Spencer Steer at second base, man, that infield defense is pretty good. And Key Brian Hayes can go away.
It would be interesting to see, but I do think I'm still shocked that they sent down Noelvi Marte, because I think it's too early to make these kind of decisions, but there must have been something more to that. We'll discuss that a little bit more on tomorrow's show. We'll also talk a little bit more as we're moving through this rotation. What we expect is we've seen some good, we've seen some bad. So what do we expect moving forward from these guys? Is it more good than bad? Spoiler alert. Yeah, it is. That's all coming up on the next Lockdown Reds podcast. So make sure you subscribe. We'll be back with you. Sorry about the weird scheduling that's been this week. It's been kind of off and on between me traveling and getting sick and Steve traveling and other things and all this other stuff. We're going to be back to normal here soon. So make sure you subscribe. We'll be on your feed every single day, talking Reds, because we will be Locked On Reds every single day. Ooh, I think my voice held up there till the end, just barely.
Barely. And I didn't know you had a garden. I've never seen one at your house.